And this is Undercover, where we're catching up with Bob Gaudio, and it's a great story to tell, Bob. I mean, you've been involved with Jersey Boys as one of the founders, one of the people, as part of the story, and then right through until the creation of the story. And you've seen this story just roll out all around the world. You must be very proud to see yourself.
Yeah, I am. I'm very proud of Jersey Boys and you know the people that have been involved with it, Des McAnuff and Michael David, Rick Ellis, Marshall Brickman, Sergio Trujillo. And we've just had an incredible team from La Jolla, which is where we premiered. And, you know, I think it's Bob Crew's line in the show, the stars are in alignment, which is, I think, the case with Jersey Boys. It was just one of those times in your life where everything works.
Yeah.
You know, everything worked.
Yeah. Well, Jersey Boys is the story of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, Bob being one of the founding members of the Four Seasons and the guy who wrote all of the songs. When you see the story on stage, I mean, how much poetic license has been taken? Is it as it happened?
There's juxtapositioning going on, who left when, so on, and the music is not in chronological order. There's a couple of surprises, like the opening. I remember an older couple in La Jolla looking at each other and saying, "Are we at the right show?" I said, "Well, that's good. A little shock value doesn't hurt anybody, right?" It's just been a wonderful thing from the beginning. So it's always. I'm losing a little track of where we started with this because I think I just repeated myself. But the question was
about how close to
how close I was.
To the story.
Well, the story. Both Frankie and I communicated with Marshall and Rick early on. They got on board. Rick Ellis first, and then Marshall, and then we pretty much spilled our guts, so to speak. And there's the art of writing. You know, we told our story, and they put it down on paper and wrote a phenomenal book. There's usually bases for everything in there, and Frankie, I think, concluded after seeing the show 20 or 30 times, it's about 95% accurate.
Yeah.
Did we say every single word verbatim? No, of course not. So did they take a few liberties here and there? Yeah. You know, we probably weren't as funny as they made us out to be. And we certainly don't dance as well as these kids do.
Yeah.
And maybe didn't sing as well. But yeah, it's very, very, very authentic to the point of sometimes being a bit frightening.
Yeah. I guess from a plot, it's got all the right ingredients. It's got the star, it's got the songs, it's got the villain.
Yeah, it's got a couple of villains. Yeah, it's. I guess if you were to observe it from that standpoint, it's pretty much got it all. You know, you can have it all and still not work. This just happens to be one of those situations where it works.
Yeah, and somebody who was involved with you becoming a member of the band was Joe Pesci, who went on to become a famous actor afterwards. What was Joe at that point?
Well, as he's portrayed in the show, he was kind of someone that was just around. You know, he was a friend. I played in a band, my second band after the Royal Teens. When I left, was a jazz quartet, and Joe played guitar and sang, kind of the front man, and does a great Porky Pig. He's just a funny guy. It's funny because when I saw him in the Raging Bull, I thought, my God, you know, he's a hell of an actor. And he went on to win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. But I said to Judy at the time, Joey's a funny guy. If he ever makes a funny movie, it's gonna be a killer for him. And then, sure enough, he came along and he made Home Alone, and he made I forgot the one in between where he played some cameo, smaller roles, but he stole the scene because he's such a funny guy, and he's an excellent guitar player. He's an excellent singer. So but he was there as he is in the show, and hung out with Tommy. And now, well, I don't want to give too much of this away for people who haven't seen it. There should be a certain amount of surprise here.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was one of the guys.
Well, Tommy was the villain as portrayed in the show.
Yeah.
But how integral was he to the success of the Four Seasons?
I think you can't pull pieces out. I think everything was there, and it played a role. I don't know if this could have happened if Tommy wasn't there in the beginning. It all evolved and took its proper course. When I came in the group, things changed, and then later on, music changed, and we changed, and can't take my eyes off you, the solo situation. So I have to say that, given Tommy his due, he was there, as he said in the show. This wouldn't have happened if I wasn't. Now that's my line. Of course, that one's true.
Yeah.
Very important. I think it's very important. Nicky's role was very important. We carried on after both were gone, but similar to the Michael Jackson situation, Michael had his Quincy time, and then he went off and did his own thing, and brilliant music also.
I'll take you back to 15-year-old Bob Gaudio and a song called Short Shorts.
Yeah.
The first song that you had success with, I guess.
Right.
15 years old, and you've got this massive hit around the world. Yeah. What effect did that have on you?
Well, I left high school. Got me out of studying.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing for me. I was 15 or 16 by that time. I did leave high school to go on the road with, as it states in the show, with Jackie Wilson and Buddy Holly and the Everly Brothers and Clyde McPhatter and Sam Cooke. It was a tumultuous time in the U.S. because it was this segregation. There were lots of rioting going on, and we were playing down the South. So 4 kids from the northern part of New Jersey experiencing that, crossing the Mason-Dixon line, and what went on, and black and white rest stops with us in the bus was a real eye-opener at a very early age. I grew up very, very quickly. Coincidentally, I just got my high school diploma.
I was about to ask you about that because congratulations.
Yeah, that was about 6 or 7 months ago. It was great. They were wonderful in Bergenfield High School, and they actually did the full tilt commencement, and the cap and the gown, and everybody was there except I was the only one receiving my diploma. But it was something I missed, and it was wonderful. My kids were there. It was a great day.
Yeah. Let's get into the Four Seasons. The first song that you wrote that was the hit, Sherry.
Right.
That you wrote in 15 minutes, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. I know. I've said this before. It sounds like a B-movie script. But I was just at my parents' house and had 15 to 20 minutes before I had to leave to go to Newark for rehearsal at Frankie's, and it just popped into my head. I wrote a quick lyric because I didn't have a tape recorder, and I didn't think I'd remember the melody without a lyric, and I'm singing it all the way down in the car, and got to rehearsal, and off it went. Tommy and Nicky weren't enthralled with it. Frankie thought it was great, and we got into a little voting thing, and it was a tie, 2-2. And I think I said, or someone said, well, let's call crew and we'll rehearse it a bit first and let him hear it and see what he thinks. And it's just like it happens in the show. It was, except I don't know how much. What's the language barrier here? I mean,
You can say whatever you like.
Well, we sang it for crew on the phone, and the response I got when I spoke to him was, if I don't fuck it up, that's a #1 record. It's not the way it is in the show, but it's not like we're at a loss for 4-letter words.
Yeah, but I guess, back then, what was it, 62, 63? It was
Yeah,
like 47
61.
years ago.
Yeah.
You could not possibly imagine that 15 minutes after you started to write that thing when it was completed, that here we are 10 years into the 21st century and you'd still be talking about it.
No, I know. It's quite mind-boggling. It's one thing. We've had a lot of offers before this happened to do Movie of the Week and things of that sort, but we just sort of held out for let's see if we can turn this into something more than just a quick burn. and to actually have it happen and get it. It's one thing to get it on the stage, you know, and have somebody care enough to produce it and direct it as Des has done, but it's another thing to have it be this successful. It's funny, at halftime, we weren't there doing previews, and Frankie nor I, but a good friend of mine was there, Larry Brown, and he called me at intermission, and he said, "My God," he said, he said, "this is going to be bigger than you guys ever were." So I said, well, that nothing would thrill me more.
Yeah.
And so it is.